Good evening, Facebook peeps. What's going on out there? Got something for you to think about. Actually, for you to not just think about, but to believe and take in. And that is that you are perfect. I am perfect. We all are perfect. How can that be? What? We're not perfect, right? You think, oh my God, we're not perfect. Like I make mistakes all the time. Well, but you're perfectly imperfect. I'll say that again. You're perfectly imperfect. And the reason I say that is because that's how we are. We can't be anything else but who we are. We can't be anything else than how our species is set up. We can't be anything else other than how our minds work, our bodies work, our hearts work. We can't be anything different than what we are. And we are what we are, so we're perfect. It sounds circular, doesn't it? But it's not. It's really not. And that imperfection in us, the imperfect in us, is the part that is our gift, I believe. Because it's what drives us and causes us. That's how we learn, I guess is the best way to say it. We learn by making mistakes. I guess we don't say making mistakes anymore, but I do. We make mistakes. We don't just have challenges. We screw up. We mess up. We botch things, whatever you want to call it. It's okay. It's okay. I worked for a company, my last company, my only company, that I ever worked for actually. The last few years that I worked for them, they had this motto or whatever. I forget what it was called. Well, actually, when I first started working there, the CEO was, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Okay. All right. So that never resonated with me because it always felt to me like, okay, so you want everybody to be mediocre. Huh? How's that good? The most recent one is that we're encouraged, I forget what it's called, but we're encouraged to make mistakes within the company. You're encouraged to take risks. But it never happened, at least that I saw mostly, because it was so ingrained in the culture of people within the company, within society, at least the society I know, to be afraid to take risks, to be afraid to venture out, to be afraid to do something different, because we fear the consequences. But us taking those risks, us advancing like that, that's how we learn. That's how we get better. That's how we live our lives. So we are perfectly imperfect. And the reason I started thinking about this today was I had another vocal recording. I did one, I think Sunday, did the whole 2 songs. But then I was called back to do, I forget what she called it, punching, where you record certain sections of the song over, and digital magic can basically take different parts of your voice over different days that are recording at different times, put them together, and make it sound like you are perfect. I was like, wow. So like, what are the implications of this in our society? Why do we feel we need to do this? Why can't we just make a recording one shot, that's us. That's not perfect, but imperfectly perfect. It's like cheating in a way, I believe, because you're creating something that's not. You're creating this image, vocal image of something that you never were. You never could be, because you never did it in one take. It's segments of your voice taken over a day or two at different times, different sections. And it's artificially manufactured to be perfect. But it's not perfect because it's not real. It's not real. And it sets up inappropriate, unrealistic expectations. And I see this with TV. Well, I haven't been on TV. I haven't watched TV in a long time, but I don't even have a TV. But like on Facebook or YouTube or social media sites where people spend hours and hours editing their films or editing their videos or whatever they're going to say, and with makeup and lighting and cuts, and to make it look perfect. And it's not real. And what this does is this, you know who's looking at us? Our kids are looking at us. Whether we realize it or not, they're always looking at us. They observe everything. They're most intuitive beings. They have to be, because that's how they survive, by blending in with the culture, by learning what the adults expect, by learning how to survive in that culture. So they, we always say kids soak up everything like a sponge. Yeah, they sure do, because that's how they're made. So by us creating this perfectness in media, it's setting up an expectation for them to be perfect. And it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on them. Lots and lots of pressure on them. And they have enough pressure as it is with, COVID and other social things. And just being, I'm just thinking teens, just being teens and tweens and little kids trying to play and just have fun and just live their lives, So, and what reminded me of this is when I was, to get back to the vocal thing is, so we created this perfect image, vocal image of me. And as I was doing it and it was being described to me, it was like, oh, okay. So this is like one of those magnifying mirrors that I saw my mother use when I was a kid, that like she would do her makeup in, and she would look at it, and like, little blemishes on her face would look like craters, and like everything was exaggerated huge, so that you were looking so deep into her face that she had to be perfect with the makeup, so that when she took it away, it was perfect. So it just reminded me of using my voice, or using this computer to just break apart and just look at and pick apart a voice, or pick apart music, pick apart self. And that's what we do a lot. So that's what I was thinking is, and how do we get away? How do we get away? I mean, like, how do we? I think we should change this, and it really comes down to loving oneself, loving who you are, how you look, how you feel, how you act. Not always projecting out into the future like, I want to be like this person. It's important and critical to have goals of where you want to go, set intentions. That's the act piece of Fab. But not to need or be attached to looking some particular way that you're not. or being some particular way that you're not, or having something that you don't have because you need it, you desire it, and you can't live without it, kind of thing. That's unhealthy behavior, guys. That's really unhealthy. It's not good for us. It just creates anxiety and stress in our lives because we can never, ever, ever, ever live up to that expectation. And we will never, ever live up to the expectation in our head if we desire to be that perfectness that we see, because it doesn't exist. And our minds and our head, our minds are the most critical, I can't think of another word, critical interpreters of us that there possibly is. So we have to learn to love ourselves, our whole body, whole being, everything. Because if we don't, then we will just kind of keep going down this path. And how do we get to love ourselves? Now that I kind of proposed the problem or a quandary. Well, it is a problem. It's a problem, I think, because it's causing disease and stress and anxiety and pain and suffering in the world. And if you look back at any spiritual texts, any thousands and thousands of years, this is not new. They knew this, and we've lost it. We're gaining it back, though. We're gaining it back. But so now that I've kind of outlined this, brought it to your attention, brought it to my attention as well, what do we do about it? I highly believe that just sitting with yourself for a few minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, maybe 10, 5 in the morning, 5 at night, and just doing some meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be, and all kinds of weird things. You just sit in a quiet place where you're comfortable. Maybe listen to some music that probably doesn't have words. I set a timer for myself because it keeps my mind from spinning and thinking, ooh, is it over yet? Ooh, am I close? Ooh, how many more minutes? So I set a timer so I don't have to, it's not another level to think about. And I just sit there and just experience whatever I'm experiencing. Like right now, it's not dead quiet, but it's very, very quiet. This morning I did a video, excuse me, and I was out in the nature. I was out on the dock by the water, and the breeze was blowing, and the little stream that feeds the pond was gurgling, I guess if you want to say gurgling. It was kind of noise. There were birds. There was activity. So what I did is I just concentrated on those sensations. One sensation, really, because you can't concentrate it on any more than one. So pick one, and then just focus on it. And when you focus on it, just really, really focus on it. And you'll get to this awareness where practice of, this may be more farther down the line, but not to label it like, oh, my face is hot. It's just a sensation. Don't call it hot. That's an interpretation in voice. Just feel it. It's almost a translation of languages. I was talking about this morning, where, like, if you learn Japanese or some other language, I haven't done that, but I'm told that in order to get really fluent in a language, you have to stop translating into your original language and just exist or be and understand in that language and not translate back and forth. That's the same thing with the body and the mind, I believe. The body speaks a different language than your mind. And you teach them to communicate by listening to them individually. we're so apt to listen to the mind all the time because it's always, 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 always on, always, always thinking, buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. Our body is quiet, contemplative. It feels things deeply. It senses things more quicker than our mind. It feels things. And it communicates with us in a different way, through feelings, through sensations. And so if we're not aware of, we've never been aware of that before, it takes some time to become aware of it and practice it. And that's one of the great benefits of meditation, is to quiet. I'm not going to say quiet your mind, because it doesn't quiet your mind, because your mind is always spinning. But what it does is it changes the nature of the thoughts that come out of your mind, I would say, is the best thing. Instead of them kind of being manic and disjointed and confused, and they just become like just a nice flow of thoughts. And then as you're being aware of your body, you recognize the flow of those thoughts. And you can choose to accept them or not accept them. And it's a very, very grounding practice. And it's so, 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 so good for you. So I talked about that this morning, and I will talk about it again because I think it's really, really important. And I think it's a really good starting point for getting out of our desire to be perfect. Because we are perfect, we're perfectly imperfect. And that's what I'm going to end on. So please, if you do like this, like it, heart it, heads up, thumbs up, little hearts and flowers, all that good stuff. Type in #replay. Let me know what you think. And let me know what your perspective is. And I'll be back again tomorrow to cover something else, or maybe the same thing. I'm not sure, kind of whatever I kind of feel tomorrow, or whatever comes up, because every day is different. All right, take care. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.